All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? My name is Sean Carter. I'm here today with my man Steven Joseph.
What's good? What's good?
Man,
I'm happy to be here. It's been a long time coming. Obviously,
yes.
We known each other forever. So
man,
this feels right.
Whole lifetime.
This feels right.
Yes,
it
does,
right.
Man. How's everything been with you?
It's been good, man. It's just been great to be like back in this space, like creatively and like being able to put out stuff and musically. It's just like it feels like I said. It feels right. It just feels like at home. No pun intended, but it just feels good. So I'm just happy to be in this space. I'm happy that we're doing this project, this little interview setup. It only feels right. So
yes, sir, definitely. So let's get into it. You know, we just had the drop of the Book of Joseph, amazing album. If you haven't listened to it yet, please go ahead and take a look. Definitely one of the best projects I think that's come out in 2022. How does it feel for you to put this project out?
It's great, man. Been a long time coming. Went through some struggles. Obviously, we had the pandemic. Like, you know, it feels like it was either yesterday or ages ago, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, man, it's just been great to come back into this space. Me and Jordan been working really hard on this album. You know, it's different from Loading, from our last project. Yeah, shout out to Jordan in the back. It's different from Loading in the sense that, you know, our sound has grown. It's more developed. It sounds more mature. It sounds just as a whole, we've just grown so much. So I'm just excited that people are listening to the album. I've gotten good feedback so far. So just excited, man.
Yeah, man. As you should. And I definitely would agree. That's funny that you mentioned that about like the sound being more mature. Mm-hmm. There's definitely like this like an evolution of you as an artist. So talk about that a little bit. Like, what's it been like these last 2 years for you?
Yeah, man.
Since Loading.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing for us is that we wanted to add more feeling, more soul to this album.
Okay.
That was one of the things I talked to Jordan about, is like making sure that throughout the album, throughout the project, you felt something, whether it was like desperation or happiness or overcoming something or anything like that. It was just making sure that somebody felt something all the way through, because all the good movies, all the good albums, all the good, you know, plays, they all have something that draws you in and then leaves you talking about it afterwards. So that's what we wanted to make it feel like. It almost feels like, you know, a play in itself, character development, all that stuff. So we just want to make somebody feel something throughout the album, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a ride all the way through. How long did this project take you to bring to life?
Oh man, it felt like decades, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But I think the biggest, it took me about 2 years. We had the single Father Time. We had Father Time for, I would say, what do you say, like two and a half years? 2.5 years. We had Father Time for around that portion, and then once we got that, I was like, this is it. This is what we're gonna build it around. This is what our structure is gonna be. This is what I wanted to sound like. So I would say 2 years, and then we finished the album, I want to say like 2 weeks before it turned it in.
Oh wow!
So
wow,
it was a long process. It was a lot of building. A lot of pieces came together. Shout out to my boy Raphael behind the camera, narrating the whole album. And I asked him to do that on a whim. Like, hey, can I splice this together? Hey, can I use this? And it just all came together. All the features came together. And it was just like a dope process. But yeah, it took about 2 years, 2.5 years.
Wow. So how did you pick out your features? I love the ones that you chose. I feel like they just added so much value to the project, and it just for it to be an independent project coming out of Las Vegas, like it just seems so professionally put together. So yeah, what was that process like, choosing the people to add onto that?
I always, when there's a bunch of people that I want to work with. So it's always just about fit for me. Okay. I always just want to make sure that like whatever we're trying to do and whatever story that we're trying to tell, I always make sure that it fits. So with my cousin, Andrea, who's on the first part, the intro, I was like, you know, there's a lot of talented people that in my mom's side of the family that sing. Yeah. I wasn't blessed with that ability to that extent. So I was like, I kind of need somebody else to kind of help me out with that. And I asked her, and she turned it into me like a week later. And I was like, no changes. I didn't have to do any revisions. She just sent it back to me, and I was like, this is phenomenal. So shout out to Andrea. with the rap feature, like I said before, kind of like seamless. I asked him for a little splice clip, and I was like, can I just use this? I threw it in there, and I was like, yo, this would be dope to have it for the whole entire album. Do you have any other clips? Do you have any other things that I can use? And he was like, yeah, man, I got this. And then I was like, okay, be right back. That be right back turned into like a year and a half though.
Yeah.
But it happens. So, so shout out to Raph for helping me out with the narration. I have my boy Calvin Black on there and Big Smith. Calvin Black I met through my boy J-Ro and Chico. He does like a radio show. And he was like, oh, I got this artist who sings and stuff like that. He likes your music. Super dope, super talented. We call him like John Legend around here. Just a little Anderson .Paak.
Yeah.
That's what he feels like to me. And I was just like, oh, I've always wanted to work with him, but I didn't have anything soulful that would match his voice at the time, because Loading, sounded completely different than this album.
Yeah.
Video game type beats and stuff like that. So I was like, let me move into this album. And same thing happened with him. I asked him, and I was like, hey, can you be on this song? Send me back the vocals. I was like, oh, they were so great. I was like, hey, can you be on this song too? I was like, hey, we can do back to back. He's like, sure, man, send me back the vocals. And it was like perfect. Another thing that I didn't have to edit, didn't have to modulate, nothing. So that was always good. And then Vic Smith, somebody that I've known for a while. When I first started rapping, he was like one of the first people to record me. I was with Avery. Shout out to Avery Harden. I was with him. And he was one of the first people to like bring me into a studio and have me like try out different verses and cadences and stuff like that, being super nervous. But years later, I hit him up and I was like, yo, you would sound perfect on this album. And then, like I said, he sent me back the verse. Didn't have to do any changes to it. And it was like seamless fit. So all these features, all the narration and stuff like that, it's pretty much puzzle pieces. Like figure out where they go and plug them in. So I appreciate everybody that was a part of the album, because I don't know where I would be, especially forgot to mention Jordan putting all the instrumentals, all the beat changes, messing with me, trying to change things. I know he's probably irritated with me doing all during the process.
That's funny.
But just doing all that, like it was really seamless. Once we got the ball rolling, it wasn't hard to do any of the stuff.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. That's awesome to hear. And it's honestly like I always think about just the duo that you have, having a little brother that is making the beats that he does. And, what is it like to have him as your producer and as somebody that you can make music with? It's
funny because I always like mess with him because he's always making something, and I have to come over here and literally like shake it out of him because he makes so much good music and so many good instrumentals that I have to like make sure that I don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Because with this album, there's a couple beats on this album. I want to say At What Cost with Calvin Black.
Yeah.
I literally had to like beg him to use that instrumental.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was like, yeah, I'm going to use it for something else. I was like, no, this has to go on the album. He's like, no, I'm using it for something else. I was like, no, I need the song. So I was like, look, whatever you need. If you need money, I literally will pay you to.
That's why you gotta bribe your own brother.
Absolutely. Sometimes you got to make business transactions. So
yeah,
I was like, yeah, man, I need this instrumental. But and then Father Time. I tell the story all the time. Like it was a throwaway. Father Time was a throwaway beat. I had found it. It was stashed in like this folder. I think it might have been on your laptop. And I was like, what are you doing with this? He's like, I don't know. I was like, what do you mean? I don't know. Like, this is fire. What are you doing? So stuff like that. I mean, it's great to have somebody that is constantly in your corner, a resource.
Yeah.
Always trying to develop your sound as well as his. It's just a healthy balance. So it's really dope to have a brother that does this. Because again, I don't know where I would be without.
Man, seriously, that's a huge blessing and definitely can't be taken for granted.
Absolutely.
Because the sounds, there's something about them that are just so harmonious, and that's an awesome thing to hear. Going back to Father Time, it's interesting, like you say, it's a throwaway beat, and that it was something that you guys actually did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that's funny with the name being Father Time.
Yeah.
What's like the inspiration behind that single?
So when we made it, like I said, originally Jordan had showed me the beat after trying to shake it out of him. I had the instrumental, and I just felt like it was the first the best way to come back after a 2-year hiatus. For me, I felt like the last album was a good indication of growth and like showing like 808s and stuff like that. But this project was about me and how I wanted to present myself to the world. So if you remember, and some of the other people that have been listening to my music, Loading ended. The last song was Time, and I felt like that was basically like a almost like a I don't even know how I want to describe it. It was almost like the epilogue to this project.
Okay.
It was like I was concerned at the time with I'm running out of time age wise, like to do music. I was running out of time age wise to pursue a career where it's a young man's game. Music is a young person's game. And so for me, I was like, I wanted to develop something that could stand the test of time, that's why I called it Father Time. So in the first verse, I talk about like the stuff that I was talking about, like, oh, I'm big, I'm bad, I want to do this, I'm better than everybody. But then I realized in the second verse, none of that even matters. Like in the grand scheme of things, we only have so much time to do what we want to do on this earth. How are we going to turn around and make the impact? And that's why it goes and transitions into the rest of the album where it shows me worrying, shows me trying to figure out things. But I just felt like that single was the best way to showcase what I'm going through at the time. And I was like, oh, this is a single for sure. There's no way that I'm changing it. This is it. And then the instrumental is fire anyway. So
that's a track right there. That's something that like can be a turn up track. That's driving music. There's so many different like instances where you can listen to that and just feel good.
Absolutely.
And I love that with this album there's like a sense of humility with it. What's that been like for you? Like where do you see yourself in your music career, and where do you want to go with it, and just how has it been kind of like establishing yourself as a legitimate artist?
It's been quite the journey, I would say. And we talked a little bit about this off camera. It's been hard for us to find a lane and to solidify us as one of the better artists in the city, not alone just here but just trying to get our music out there. The biggest challenge is for us to figure out what our own lane is. And, we mix a lot of different elements in our music.
100%.
A lot of different things. And it's a lot of trial and error, too, when we try to do these things. So I think the biggest thing for us is to focus on what we do best. What we can bring to the table that nobody else is bringing, like stuff that we're doing right now. And creating our own lane so that way we don't have to follow anybody else's mold or trying to try out a sound that nobody else has tried or anything like that. Because I tell Jordan all the time, I was like, we feel more comfortable trying and failing doing our own thing than trying to copy or mimic somebody else. So that's the biggest thing with us. That's been our biggest, I guess, test and trial over this last 2 years, is trying to figure out our own sound and develop our own thing. So.
Yeah, man, 100%. And it's it's funny, like growing up in Las Vegas, especially on the east side, I feel like we don't have a music culture the way that they do in these bigger cities, LA, Atlanta, New York.
Absolutely.
And so like for you, I know you had mentioned Vic Smith was somebody that like helped you get started in music. What was it like for you to like get started in music, and why did you decide to pursue rapping, pursue hip hop?
I mean, there's a lot of people that like along the way helped me develop my sound as an artist today. I mean, shout out to G Bless, shout out to Avery, Vic, of course, that helped me bring me into a studio, figure out how to record and stuff like that. Because in high school, I was never the guy that was at the beat table, ciphering. I was always the guy in the back. Like I never was the guy I was too terrified to do any of that.
I feel you, yeah.
I didn't want to do any of that. So, but people getting me on stage like Avery and G and, amongst others, helping me get the confidence to even like put bars together or put, cadences and try things out on people and seeing like how this sounds, has really helped me over the years to get to where I am now. I think it goes to show that if you have good people in your corner that are willing to help you get to, the next level, or willing to listen to you for 5 seconds. Hey, what does this sound like? Hey, do you want to listen to this instrumental? I test this stuff on Jordan all the time. Yeah. So I think it goes to show if you have people in your corner that care about what you're trying to do, and trying to help you develop into a next person. That's my biggest thing. And that's what I've had in my corner since day one, since my apologies, since the freestyles that we did, all that stuff. So
now community is important, man. Exactly. It's definitely a serious thing.
Exactly.
Yes. What's your favorite track on the album?
It's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell the other kids. I would say I'm gonna answer the question with a stretch. There's a stretch in the album where I am like super proud of. It's between At What Cost and Play for Keeps.
Okay.
So that stretch between those songs where it shows desperation and it shows character development and it shows me trying to get out of a rut. It's literally the most vulnerable I've been the whole entire, like, anytime that I've made music. Like, if you want to know who I am as a person, it's literally in that stretch.
Okay.
Like, the whole thing. So, like I said, with At What Cost, I basically, going through this whole thing of being in my head and trying to figure out, like, if people are for me, if people are against me, what are people saying about me when I'm not in the room? Like, it's that whole thing. And then you transition to the following song, which is, more of a, like, talking to God instance, like blaming him for my downfalls when I should have been doing what I was supposed to be doing in the long run anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you get to the end of that song, you go to Play for Keeps, and it's more like, okay, I know who I am.
Yeah.
Let's get back to the basics. I am that guy.
Yeah.
I don't need any validation from anybody else. So I would say that stretch from, At What Cost to Play for Keeps is like the best stretch of writing that I've ever done. So
wow.
If it's not a one song, but if you have to listen to the album, start there. Like, that's just me.
I love that response.
Yeah.
I definitely like love the transition of the album and how it's like it is this emotional roller coaster, but it's redemptive, and like, especially when you get to the end, you do feel this sense of like relief and like almost inspiration. What do you feel like sets you apart as an artist? Like, what do you feel like is the message that you want to share, or just what do you think makes you different?
I would say with me and Jordan's music, we're not afraid to try new things. Everything's always experimental. We're always super vulnerable with our music. Nothing's surface level. You get a story every single time you press play. Like, there is always something that relates to something else, or it could relate to some, whoever's listening. My biggest thing is that you're always going to get something new. And I know a lot of people say that, but like, that is the biggest thing we try to harp on our music, is that you're going to get a new experience. You're going to get a sound that you've never heard before. You're going to get a story that's told from a different perspective, because it's our perspective. It's the people around me's perspective. And, it's just different. I think that's the biggest thing that sets us apart, is that we love to try new things. We don't settle. We don't like to compromise. We always try to do new things. It's the biggest thing. So.
No, I definitely agree. I think like that's the thing that I noticed the most about your music, is that it, as much music as you've put out over the last like 4 years or so, there's either like a constant progression in your flow or just like an experimentation. And that's what I loved about the album, is that it wasn't just like one cadence. Like you were able to like bring in this artistry that like keeps you engaged, and just it has like this introspective quality I feel like it's kind of missing in music. And I really love that. And so definitely like that's been one of my favorite things listening to the tape, is just the way that you can move through these different emotions and kind of paint this picture of what it's like to be somebody trying to find themselves on their journey.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing with us, is that we always try to bring somebody else's story in. Yeah. Along with ours. We don't just be like, hey, this is my name. This is Steven's story. This is it. And honestly, that's the reason why I wrote this. It's the book of Joseph, but it could be anybody's story. Anybody that's trying to get to the next level, anybody that's trying to progress in life, whether you're a banker or you work at a school, or you do film and photography, or you do interviewing pieces, or you wear beanies in the back. You can, like, it's literally a story for everybody that's trying to make it to the next level. It's got, depression. It's got like I said, character development. It's got everything. That's why I love this project so much, and it's probably my favorites. You know, it's the newest one, but it's my favorite that I've ever written. So.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely feel like it's a great piece of work. What do you feel like is missing in the industry right now?
It's a whole separate interview.
Yeah. That's a deep question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I would say the biggest, man, I would say vulnerability, because I keep using that word, but like, I don't know if the world's ready for that. Like at the same time, because it really comes down to like, pop music is always going to be pop music because it's something that's mindless and people just want to listen to it, get in, get out. But there's a lot of talented artists that have bodies of work that are super, super, you know, in depth, super vulnerable, telling their story that can help people relate to it. And I know there's a lot of, you know, there's artists that do that from time to time up top, but I just think vulnerability is like the biggest thing. Yeah, it's 100%. Like the biggest thing. Because with us, like I said, this is the first time we've probably ever done this on a record. Because Loading was more turn up joints and like we want to get people to bounce at, you know, shows and all that stuff. But this time it was just like, this is what's missing. Can we give our perspective to this? So I would say vulnerability is like the biggest thing that we're missing in the game right now.
Yeah.
It's, you know, empathy, sympathy, all that.
Yeah, I think it's really important, especially as where we're at in the world. You know, we're coming out of a major pandemic. I mean, we've got all these global crises going on between climate change and just governments changing. And I think it's really important for music to kind of reflect that. And that's something I also enjoyed about this project is that it wasn't just braggadocious rap. Like, this is like an introspective look at like a person that's finding themselves. And I think that anybody can relate to that story, especially now.
I think the biggest thing is like, you know, space and time for that. Like, you know, in rap music, like you gotta have like I'm the best mentality in rap, especially in rap music. And then like there's a set time in that. And that's what me and Jordan learned is like with the Stay at Home Sundays, like I wanted to show that I can rap. It was like a 6-month period where I was like, I gotta give everybody bars. Yeah. Like that's it. We're gonna give people bars. That's literally it. That's what we're gonna do. That's what I wanna do. So there's a time and place for that, but I feel like albums are when you have to showcase everything. Yeah. Like everything. And
deeper
so I think
artistry.
Exactly. So I think that's one of the biggest things that's missing for sure.
Yeah. So. No, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Where do you see this album going, and where do you see yourself going like a year from now?
I mean, I'm trying to do everything with this album. I took the last 2 years off to reassess my place as an artist, my place in the music industry. Like, where do I fit? How can how can I help? I think that's the biggest thing. I don't really, you know, as far as the accolades and stuff, it's nice, it's cool. But it was more so like, how can I help somebody that's doing what I'm doing, maybe in a different field? How can I get them to do, to get them to the next level? So in the next year or so, I'm looking to be a vessel for somebody else that's trying to do something to get to the next level. So if I have a group of fans at a show, obviously I would love to tour. I would love to do some more visual projects. I would also love to executive produce put together somebody's project, because I've enjoyed putting together our projects. Yeah. But it's more so just trying to help somebody get to the next level with my music. And it doesn't have to be music that you're into. It could be anything that you're trying to do, whether you're in law school, whether you're a doctor, you know, whatever you're trying to do, just to go out and go do it. So that's where I want to be in the next year, is like somebody come to me off the street and be like, hey, you're Stephen Joseph. You helped me get through this time and this period of my life, and now I'm doing this. Like, I'm sold. Yeah. One person, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm good.
No, I love that. I love that. That's awesome. If there's any artist that you would want to hear this project, who's somebody that you'd like to hear it?
Everybody. No.
Yeah. And everybody should. Yeah. If you haven't yet, you need to listen to this album.
Everybody. I would say Kendrick's my favorite.
Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to say
Kendrick's
that.
my favorite.
I had a feeling you were going to say
Kendrick's my favorite. You don't even have to like it. I just be like, hey, just listen to it. You heard it? Cool.
I feel like
Sick.
He'd be hard pressed not to like it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
I would say Kendrick would be definitely one for sure. I don't know, man. I probably like shaking, like my hands would be all sweaty and clammy if I tell him I was like, hey, this is my album, Mr. Duckworth. And listen to my but yeah, for sure. Kendrick, if I could like find a way to do that, that'd be him for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a huge one. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Do you have any goals for getting signed by any labels, or are you kind of taking the independent route?
I don't know, man. It's a weird song and dance. Like honestly, like we're finding out how to do things ourselves. Yeah. Which is always fun because when it works, it's like, oh, this is great. Like we don't need anybody to come in and do this for us. But at the same time, you could use the marketing dollars from a bigger entity, like
distribution deal.
Yeah, it's just a little bit on the front end. But if that were to come to pass, like if a record label came up to me and was like, hey, we can do this, I would have to see what the fit is.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't just be like, hey, take this X amount of dollars in advance and we're just going to do this. Like, no, it'd be like, oh, I can do this already. So what are you going to bring to the table that I can't do?
Yeah.
That would be the biggest thing for us. So, So it just depends. It really just depends.
I love that. I think that's the biggest thing too. Like, I think the art that you do can't be bottled up and just sold as a commodity the way that some crafts are, some music is. Exactly. I definitely think you have a broader story, a greater story to tell. So I definitely appreciate you saying it in that sense. I think that's super big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it really just comes down to also there's like a lot of pieces, like I said, I shouted out, look, you're doing this interview for me. Like this is great. Raph's in the back with the cameras. He's got about 18 cameras set up right now.
Yeah, man. We're doing it right now.
You know what I'm saying? Jordan's made like all my projects right now. So like at this aspect, it'd be like, okay, I have people that can help me do these things. So it'd be hard for me to be like, what else do I need? Like, besides the marketing dollars, that'd be nice.
No, that'd be hey, a little bit of extra funding never hurt.
Extra funding
we love angel investors around here.
Yeah.
So anybody that's listening, if you're inspired by the album,
Raph put the GoFundMe right here.
We'll have a link. Get in touch with us. That's funny. Yeah. No, this album, like seriously though, I think like to have this project come out of Las Vegas is so important. Where do you see yourself in the Vegas community? As a rapper, as a hip hop musician, as an artist in general, how do you feel in terms of Las Vegas as a music community, and how do you feel like this project is going to contribute to that as a whole? I
mean, honestly, there's a lot of talented people out here. I mean, we know this. There's so many talented people out here, and I think a lot of people are focusing on the Vegas sound, and I think we should focus more on individual, like what makes everybody great. You know what I'm saying? Agree. Like it should be more like, hey, this person does this well. Like if you think about Chicago, like you think about all the people that have come out of Chicago. Chance doesn't sound like Kanye. Kanye doesn't sound like, I don't know, Twister. Twister doesn't sound like
Common.
Yeah. Like I was watching that Kanye documentary and it was just like showing me like, wow, not everybody has to be on the same page, but if we all highlight what we're good at, it makes it a lot easier for everybody to get out of, everybody else's way. I think everybody's just trying to go in one direction. And it's like, hey, we all do things great. Just stay there. Hype each other up.
Yeah.
And, highlight what everybody does great. So I think for me, when everybody talks about the Vegas sound, I think it's more of not so much of, hey, we got to come together. We got to do these shows together and we got to, kumbaya and stuff like that. I'm all for coming together, but I think it's more just like, hey, everybody do what they're, do well. I know a couple people like Noir Movement.
Yeah.
They're doing their own thing. My boy, it's Ray, I guess. He's doing his own thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave anybody out. My boy Theo, Avery. It's just a bunch of people that are not making the same music. Like they're not making the same music. Vic, like there's just so many people. So Don't get offended if that's not me trying to divide everybody. This is
these are good problems. I mean, like we really have so much talent in this city. I know, like with me and Urban Conscious, my entity, like that's something that I want to find ways to do, is how do we create bodies of work, create opportunities where these people can thrive in their own lanes. But I would definitely argue that out of the rappers that I know or that I've heard, and I feel like there's very few that I have not heard, I would definitely consider you within a top 5.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
And that, that's maybe like a bold statement, but I genuinely believe that, and I think that you have the body of work to stand by that.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the biggest things like we've seen over the years is like we keep getting, I mess with Jordan, it's like we keep getting the G word with growth. And it's great to see because like everybody has their own favorite from our discography. Everybody has their own and none of our stuff sounds the same.
Yeah.
And so with us, I always try to push the envelope to be different. And it's great that people are acknowledging that like, hey, he doesn't sound like 90% of the Vegas artists that are in the city, but we like it.
Yeah.
And I'm all good with that. That's all I want. Like, as long as we're doing something that's different and people like it, I don't have to conform to like what everybody else is doing.
100%.
We got something over here that's worth way more. Like way
100%. No, it's funny. I was playing the album in the car for my parents, and my dad was like, "This Stevie?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is him." And he was like, "He got it. Like that's it." Like so, like if you got the old head saying that, that means everything.
Shout out, Pops.
Yeah.
No, man. It's been a lot of that going on. I used to get like sort of offended when people would be like, "This you?"
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "What you mean? Like, what do you mean?" Like, yeah, it's me. They're like, "Nah, this ain't you."
Yeah.
Like, they're like, "Talk." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
It's like, no,
say the verse, like speak. Like I'm like, oh yeah, this is me. But I mean, now it's like funny. It's just cool to see people gravitating to the music and like people send me videos and stuff like that. So like I said, we got something going on. We're still trying to figure out what that is. But it's been dope to have to experiment and enjoy the ride. So
yeah, 100%. And tell the people just a little bit about FYG and what that means.
Yeah, so that started. It was funny because it's like full circle moment.
Yeah.
When we were in middle school, we went to a different high school. We were in middle school. It was originally Fly Young Gentlemen.
Yep.
And we realized that we had to be gender neutral. So
right. We are PC around here.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that everybody could fit into this whole thing. And my boy Tyler, shout out Tyler Watts, and Cam, we were all in a room, and my boy was like, "Hey, we should probably call it, fulfill your gifts." And I was like, "Wow, that was yeah, we should." It wasn't like we were in a board meeting and we just like sat down and we were like, okay, we got to discuss what our branding is. He was just like, no, we should change it to fulfill your gifts. I was like, I'm with it.
Yeah.
I'm all good for it. So with the brand, we just want to highlight everybody's gifts and talents. Like we feel like everybody on earth has a opportunity to give something back to the world. Whether it's, like I said, whatever you do. I've already made like 30 lists, but whatever you do, we just want to make sure that everybody has a chance and opportunity to highlight those gifts. So we wanted to make a brand that people can come by, stand by. I say G's in a lot of my songs. It just means gifted people, just gifted individuals, and we just wanted to make a brand that encompasses all that. So FYG, awesome. That's what it stands for. If anybody's been wondering why I've been yelling G's like a banshee in my songs, that's yeah, that's what it stands for. So just
you need to write that down, man. That's a bar, right?
Yeah.
Yelling G's like a banshee. I love that.
Yeah, so that's what it stands for, and we're just trying to build our brand and whatever we do around that. So all the people that are involved.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It's definitely building. I think this album is definitely going to make it into a lot of people's rotation.
Yeah.
As it should. What do you hope this album goes? Where do you hope it goes, or what do you hope it does for you over the next year?
Just trying to get it to reach as many people as possible. Not so much as cinch as like monetarily, like which would obviously be nice. But like my thing is just we always want to help people realize their gifts.
Yeah.
We just talked about. We don't care what you do, how you do it. Like just whatever you're talented at, you can do it too. Because we started in this room with a computer that didn't look like this.
Man, Fruit Loops.
And a microphone that we don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, we started with a microphone. I don't know if Jordan remembers, but we made a microphone thing. And we went outside and we made this, it was out of like the foam bedding.
Oh, wow.
We put it and we like molded it together. But I say that to say, like,
That's
you can
funny.
use anything. Like, you just have to get started.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at this, like the setup that we have right now. It's insane to me, like that
Yeah.
we have like gotten this far. Like, this is dope to me. So, I mean, yeah, a year from now, I just like hope that everybody listens to it and it inspires them to go out and do what they need to do to get better, to get to the next level. My biggest thing for this album was showing how vulnerable I was.
Yeah.
And showing that so that somebody else is like, yeah, I felt like that too. I've been there too.
Yeah.
I've been to the bottom of the bottom too. I've struggled with depression and trying to get out of the monotony of everyday life, whether it's 9 to 5 or whatever. That's my biggest thing. It's like, hey, I'm with you too.
Yeah.
I'm human just like you. So just trying to help people realize their gifts throughout this whole album. So that's where I want for the next year.
That's huge. That's huge. And what's next for you as an artist? Are you working on another album already, or?
Man, I would say I am working on some stuff. It'll be a while before another album comes out. I really want people to like enjoy this project. We got some fun stuff in store though, like some really dope stuff that I can't mention yet, but we talked about it before the stuff. But
stay tuned.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. Like we feel refreshed, re-energized, and I'm just excited for what the future holds for us because I feel like this is a very good step in the right direction. Again, if you haven't listened to the album, listen to the album.
Man, you will not be disappointed. 0 skips.
Yes.
0 skips. And when was the last time you could really say that about an independent album? There's not very many artists that have that ability.
I appreciate that.
Not very many artists that have that ability.
I'm excited.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to leave with the people?
Nah, man. Go stream the album. It's a great body of work. Shout out to my brother Jordan for helping me putting it together, and all the features, Vic. I almost said Theo from the last album. Calvin Black, Andrea, Raph for doing the narration, Steve Harvey for doing. No, I was playing. He was.
Shout out Steve. We love that clip.
But yeah, just listen to the album, man. If this is your first introduction to me, like, this is a great start. Yeah, I will 100%. Say that this is a great start. It's a great introduction, and then share it with everybody because this could help somebody that you may know. So. Yes,
100%. 100%. It's the Book of Joseph. Go get it. It's on all streaming platforms right now. This has been an amazing conversation. You know, I'm very happy that we got to dive into this album.
Appreciate you doing this, man.
There's so many great things said on this tape, and you know, I think everybody should just take a moment, sit down, listen. It's a quick listen, 30 minutes, 28 minutes, you know?
Absolutely.
Just a lot of gems,
Yeah, man. If you're going to like a car wash or anything like that, or like a grocery store, you literally can finish most of the album.
Yeah.
So, there's no excuse. Go listen.
Now, once you start listening, you're not going to want to turn it off.
Exactly.
You're not going to want to turn it off.
Exactly. I appreciate you doing this, man.
Of course. Always. Until the next one.